In the book Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain, author Betty Edwards suggests that to get into a creative mindset when drawing, we need to think using the right side of the brain. And basically, that is not true. This is not how the brain works, this is not how neurology works, so it's an easy idea to dismiss. However, although that might not be true, I think there are different mindsets when it comes to drawing. Something can happen when people get serious about art and they learn to draw using the fundamentals. They get too logical and perfectionist in their approach to drawing and learning. You feel like your mind broadened when you learned everything in a logical manner, doing studies, following art videos or books. So you try to create things in the same way. But what can happen is that people only start doing study after study because they are too intimidated by the idea of creating something original. You don't try to make something from imagination, either out of fear or insecurity that this won't live up to my study. You start telling yourself this has to be absolutely perfect, and you can spend an entire day just measuring out composition, perspective, or anatomy. I think this is something you could call a left brain mindset. On the other hand, you have people who only think creatively. They are similar, except they struggle with learning anatomy, perspective, or composition, and it can feel scary to put in the time and focus to sit and watch an hour-long video on anatomy. You might even try to convince yourself that by learning something new, it will actually impede on your creativity. It's scary, because you'll become someone different, and it might be an improved version of yourself, but it's also someone you don't really know about. All that really happens is that you have more choices. Now, previously I've said that listening to music can ruin your focus while drawing, and by comparing the responses to the video, I would guess this. To be in a logical mindset, you need focus. All thought goes into the drawing or painting, and you can sit in silence or with ambience. However, with a creative mindset, having something like music on in the background can leave your subconscious to be more involved in the drawing. You start basing a lot of intuition in what you have already learned and is more innate to you. That said, that would not be a requirement to get into a creative mindset, and it could still be a double-edged sword where you end up more distracted. But basically, we need to find the balance in everything. Approaching drawing too logically can be arduous, where the end result is feeling that nothing is good enough, and every single stroke might as well be painful labor. And with a too creative mindset, everything can feel too loose. Like you want to draw things, but your knowledge of the subject just isn't there, so instead you just end up doodling, or you do something within your comfort zone. What we really need to do is use our logical mindset to study, learn new things like anatomy, perspective, composition, color theory, etc. Also that we can utilize our creative side and freely let ourselves loose based on things we innately have learned to do. I think a lot of people struggle with this, but they don't really know it. They feel like they know they should be drawing, but they're just not in the right mindset. They have art block and can't be creative, or they feel like their art is bad and it just isn't good enough. It might take some time, but you can learn to switch between these modes. Lend yourself 30 minutes to be completely focused on learning something new. Or maybe start small and tell yourself, I know this drawing won't turn out good, but I can settle for that. Ideally, we should be able to switch between these modes. Logical and creative, whatever is more necessary for what we are trying to accomplish or learn. And I think, ideally, we should be able to draw things, visualize them, and have the knowledge to back it up. But we also need an external brain to rely on, reference, being able to reinterpret something, and without making everything seem like a grandiose puzzle. I think that would be the ideal. But changing your mindset is not a shortcut to making immediately better, amazing drawings. It's just a part of the challenge of getting to know yourself.